All right, so I'm sorry, chat is disabled. I didn't set this up, guys, but I am so glad you're here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. I wanted to let you know that we are recording this. Everybody who signed up for the four-part series will receive all four recordings. Welcome. My name is Sheila Folk. I'm the founder and CEO of Travel Industry Solutions. I see so many familiar names on the call today. I'm so glad you're here for this first session of our four-part series. Over the next few months, we're going to break down the parts of your business that most advisors avoid and turn them into something you actually feel confident managing. So, this series is all about helping you wrap up 2025 cleanly, get financially organized, and walk into 2026 knowing exactly what your numbers are telling you. So every single session, guys, builds on the last. And if you can't make one of those dates, don't worry. As I mentioned, you'll automatically get the replay for all four. So today's session, it's all about closing out the year with confidence. What that really means for a travel business, how to handle commissions and supplier payments, and the simple steps you can follow every December so you're never scrambling. And so, to help us kick things off, we have two incredible experts with us. First up is Radhika. Radhika is one of the founding partners of Olaham and brings more than 15 years experience across accounting, finance, and banking. She's a CPA with a master's in accounting and an MBA in finance, and she's worn all the hats. So, commercial banker, financial analyst, controller, business consultant, you name it. What I love about Radhika is that she truly gets small business owners because she's an entrepreneur herself. We had the pleasure to have dinner about 6 months ago, and I got to hear her story. She understands the growing pains and the financial pressure points, and she has a real gift for translating complex financial concepts into something practical and usable. And when she's not crunching numbers, she's all about scary movies, traveling, and mom life with her two boys. So say hello, Radhika. So
Hi.
everybody.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sheila, for such a wonderful introduction. Nobody would have said it better.
Thank you so much. And joining her is Swagat. Swagat is also a partner, and he brings 14 years of experience in accounting and auditing. He's a chartered accountant with a master's in commerce, and he works with everyone from small businesses to multinational companies on bookkeeping, tax compliance, and smart financial decision making. He is the kind of person who can look at your numbers and immediately see what's working, what's not, what needs to change. His background spans accounting, taxation, international controls, and even portfolio management. So he brings a really well-rounded perspective. We personally lean on him quite a bit inside of Travel Industry Solutions, and I do lean on them for my travel agency as well as some of our other customers. So outside of the world of finance, Swagat loves to travel. He loves to try new food, and I know he is a foodie because we have dined together in the past, and he loves to dive into philosophy. So welcome, Swagat. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you, Sheila. Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here, and thank you for the appreciation and kind words, Sheila.
Oh, thank you so much. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Radhika start sharing her screen and take it from here. Guys, if you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A, and we will reserve time at the end for any questions. So we'll allow about 10 minutes time. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and let Radhika take it away. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sheila. Just give me a minute to get started here. Okay, although this is a presentation, this is probably my very first time, in a webinar giving a presentation. My webinars have been mostly, my clients coming on, asking questions that, pertain to their businesses. We generally work a lot with travel agencies. It's something that very naturally has flown to me and Swagat. So we have kind of fully built practice around working with travel agents. So today I want to just simplify a little bit on, how a business or a small business in the US would close out their year. And I want to specify this one thing, even though a lot of small businesses that we know work on cash basis, understanding what US GAAP is and what is at the core is going to be very useful for any business owner to understand why they should maintain their accounts on a GAAP basis, even if they are submitting their cash basis for taxes. And I'll take you through a bits and pieces of this process today. So hopefully, this will be making things that look very difficult simple. I want to, take out all the jargons today from things and just lay it down very simply for all of you. So why does this year-end closing, matter so much? I mean, in simple terms, it's just cleaning up your house like you would at the end of the year. It's just cleaning up all your financial house, if I would say. And then, finalizing each transaction for the year. So whether it's your income, whether it's expenses, assets, or liabilities, you want to know what all this truly means at the end of the year. So that's why today we are talking about closing the year. And it kind of builds a foundation of three things. It would bring more accuracy to the numbers that we are putting in. If you have a Excel sheet or whether you have QuickBooks or some other complicated accounting system, but what you put in really matters and the accuracy of what you put in matters, because that's what ensures that you're compliant with everything that's going on in the business. You're compliant with the IRS, you're paying your dues on time, you're allocating money to pay the dues on time. And then ultimately this entire process will kind of bring confidence to a small business owner. So to face taxes, whether it's a loan application, whether it's an audit, whether a CPA is going to take a look at your books and give you a review. It doesn't matter what it is. It just makes you smart for planning for the future. And that's why we think that each business owner today in this very market that has become so competitive, it's very important for a business owner to think more like a CFO than just finishing their bookkeeping to file their taxes. So that's what the core of today's discussion would be.
Radhika, I want to ask you a quick question, and
Yes,
you may cover this already in the presentation further on,
sure.
but I know, for instance, in TIS, I'm working with Steve right now, as you guys know,
Yes.
to think about start thinking about closing out the books for the year, because I am very on top of this. I always want to know, like, down to the penny, what is our profitability, where we're spending. So how soon should we start thinking about this? Is it now? Should I have been thinking about this a month ago? Do I wait until the middle of December? Maybe you'll cover that later on, but I have a question and that may
Sure,
come up
sure.
for everybody.
So honestly, Sheila, if you ask me, I am a person who would think about it every month, because think about this. I know that travel is such a glamorous industry. It's not like accounting. It's not like what we do, crunching numbers. So I can get it that the owners are more busy in, and it has so many moving parts. So everybody is thinking about the schedules, about the travel dates, their clients, who booked what. it's so easy to miss out on the numbers every month, and then just come year end you realize that maybe the books are not so good, maybe they are in shambles, because everybody is not like so the priorities monthly are different. But from my point of view, I think uh, at least once a month is when you should sit down with your team, your bookkeeper, whether it's internal, external, and ask them, like, what do you think about my books? Because until the time you understand the trends, till the time you kind of see what's going on in Jan, what is coming next quarter, it's never, the numbers are never going to help you. Filing taxes is fine. I mean, that's a thing that everyone has to do painstakingly, and but it has to be done. But if you want to really bank on, growing your business, then as you concentrate on marketing, I think, saving on costs and looking at your numbers and understanding what's working for you, it's going to help you throughout the year. The latest I would say that you should start this process is probably mid-year.
Well, we do everything monthly inside of TIS, as you know, because you guys do it. But you know what? You made a really good and so for me, when I think about closing out the books in year end, I'm already thinking about getting ahead on the 1099, sort of like the little loose ends. But that's a really good point that you just made about travel agencies doing this on a monthly basis to look at marketing spend, other spend, is there ROI? So I'm going to reserve any other questions for a little bit later, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. But that was an interesting thought. So I'll let you go ahead. I won't interrupt your flow.
So that's all right. I mean, any questions are welcome. We are here to share, whatever we can today about accounting, and hopefully, we get in some very interesting questions at the end of this.
Yeah, and I did want to mention we did have one question pop in, and this is an important question because I know we do have a lot of people on the call. Alana wanted to know if this applied to independent contractors, and absolutely it does. You might be an independent contractor, but you're still an independent business owner, whether you're operating as a sole proprietor or an LLC. So you are a business in yourself in itself.
Yes, it definitely applies to an independent contractor and anyone, it doesn't matter what the status of your business is, closing the books as well as, preparing for taxes. I think it's a universal subject that anyone can benefit from. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk a little bit about, specifically when it comes to travel agencies, what year-end close would mean. So as I mentioned before, that travel agencies have a lot more moving parts than say a consulting business. So this boils down, I have like tried to consolidate this into five major activities that you can do. So one is to verify all the financial transactions are recorded in your books and you have not missed anything. So this can be easily achieved by doing your bank reconciliations. So if you're doing your books yourself, just ensuring that every month the bank closes and the bank balances are correct can ensure that all the transactions related to your business are captured and recorded in your books. Then the second one is to confirm balances, which is, check your cash balance, check what you owe your suppliers, what your client owes to you, all these balances. You can have a third party, respond to you and kind of try to match if what you have in the books or what you have in your account and what they have on their side matches. It's a good way to a good check for an accountant or a bookkeeper to do. The third one is a major one, which is matching your revenue and expenses. So when it comes to GAAP accounting and accrual based accounting in GAAP, you have to match the expenses related to a revenue in the same period, and you have to see that for example, a cost of booking a hotel, for example, that should be matched with the commission that you earn from it. You cannot record those two transactions in different times when it comes to US GAAP. So fourth one would be, to adjust key items that are on your P&L or on your balance sheet. This can be, something as small as prepaid expenses. So say, you paid for a software subscription. Uh, and you paid for 12 months in advance, so you have to see to it that every single month a part of that is allocated in your expenses and a part of that remains on your balance sheet as your asset in the books. So why to go in and do accrual accounting or enter all these details in your books? Because honestly, if you don't do that, you will never have a clear picture of your business or your earnings. So it's very important, even if, and it's become so easy now. If you're using QuickBooks, there's just one click that you need to change your books from accrual to cash. So it's become so easy with the technology, with the AI. I suggest that all the businesses that work with us should, or um, I wouldn't say should, but I would like them to comply and be on accrual accounting. It just because it gives you a real true picture of where your business stands than just working on a cash basis. And we are going to come to that on the later slides. I've explained to you in detail how that would make a difference, working on or having your books on accrual basis vis-a-vis having your books on a cash basis. So moving on, we have a few examples. I have a couple of slides here, which we put together, keeping in mind the business, the travel businesses and the main transactions that a travel business would have. So reconciling your commission and supplier payments, why is this so important? Because
Real
this
quick,
is
Radhika, I want to interject real quick
sure.
because
Yes.
we do have independent agencies and hosted advisors on this call. So I just want to point out for everybody who's a hosted advisor, you're not really reconciling supplier payables because you're taking your customer's card and you're paying the supplier direct. But we do need to account for everybody who is on the call. So please understand that some of the concepts that Radhika and Swagat are presenting here will apply to independent agencies who are set up to be merchant of record, and then those agencies who are not merchant of record. But all of the expense and the accrual based recognition of expenses does apply to everybody who is on the call. And Radhika will explain some of that a little bit later. But I really wanted to kind of provide a little bit of clarity around that so that everybody didn't kind of get a little bit confused when we are talking about supplier payments. So I apologize. I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarity up front for some of those hosted advisors who may be scratching their head a little bit.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheila, for bringing that out. So definitely this, this presentation is mostly based on general, gap compliance that businesses would have to go through. We thought that, the commission income, comparing your records with your supplier statements, if they are the same, or general supplier payables, reconciling what you owe to suppliers against deposit. The main point that I feel on this slide, that travel agents need to remember, because I've seen that a lot of this is forgotten or sidelined and not recorded, is the overrides and the bonuses. So if you record uh, those airline or hotel incentives, you don't forget to record those are part of your income and definitely should be a part of your PNL. And then of course, as travel agents, who doesn't want to talk about chargebacks and refunds? These can really come months later I've seen like these come, as a surprise, and they are not accounted for in the books. It's very important to keep a tab on the chargebacks and refunds. These will, really eat out on the profits as well. So I think, the important aspects of this need to be discussed with your CPA. You need to make sure that, any transactions like this, you either email your bookkeeper, email your CPA, have a written confirmation from them that they have, because there's no way you're going to remember all this at the end of the year if you're not doing your accounting regularly. As you know, you would reconcile any other accounts. You would also look at any unpaid invoices. Take a look at, what your accounts receivable is, what your accounts payable is. This is why I say that, accrual basis would reflect better, or would give you a solid picture of your bookkeeping or your books, or, the cash that you really have. Sometimes, what happens, you feel that, you've done fabulous business, but a lot of that is actually in accounts receivable, and who is if you don't record that in accrual, then there's no collection that is happening at the back end, which actually your admin team should be looking after, or, following up on. So it's a great idea to, even if you're on a cash basis, just on an Excel sheet, record all the receivables, record all the payables that you still have to do, and kind of try to arrive at a good picture of, where your cash stands. And for credit cards, this is a point that I would like to mention for any business, be alone travel businesses. If you're mixing your personal and business expenses, it's not a good scenario from, any angle, not from an accounting perspective and not from a tax perspective. And then setting up a company which is a limited liability company, and then spending or mixing personal expenses with business is not it's kind of breaking the wheel of, what you're doing. So I know it's tough. I know sometimes, we are just out and we just pick up a card and kind of pay with it, but I think, if you meticulously try to segregate those transactions, it's going to help you file your taxes as well.
Also, generally, it is recommended that everyone should register their businesses as a sole proprietor and get an EIN actually for the business. Many of the people just share their SSNs for the 1099s and everything else, which is not a good thing to do or to share with anyone. So having a separate identity for your business and sharing EINs is a good thing procedure which one should follow. And cash and accrual, even if it sounds difficult to a layman, it's generally a cash system is where you take the bank as a basis. So money in and money out is recorded in your books. And in accrual, generally the invoices and the bills are taken as the basis. So following the accrual basis is very easy, because every receipt or every money that comes in should have an invoice, and every money that goes out should have a bill. So that should, if anyone follows that, then it would be very easy to reconcile everything, and also have a practical and reality check of the business of where you stand and what is the pathway you need to go to make it successful.
And then, one more small point, even though it's small, I think it's very important, for a business to follow, is that if you're doing, or if you're following an accrual basis, you have all your documentation in place. So a accrual business will have all the invoices, all the bills, everything, the backups of it on QuickBooks. So it's very easy for, let's say tomorrow, uh, there was an audit for your business, very easy for you to provide all the documentation since you were on accrual. Otherwise it's going to be a nightmare to, get everything together just for that purpose. So I think it also helps in organization of proper documentation and compliance when it comes to accrual. So this is a checklist that we have prepared. We have talked about certain important transactions that go around in a business. This is a simple checklist that will make sure that you have taken care of all aspects of what's going on in your business. So it's a 7-step checklist. You basically, what you do is you go through all your bank accounts and credit cards first. So this is like step one, where you are reconciling all the accounts that you use for business. The second step is matching your supplier items, what you owe to them, whether whatever they have billed you, you have paid those bills, just taking care of that. Then is reviewing your deferred revenue. So deferred revenue would be something like a customer deposit that you have received. So when a customer sends you a deposit for anything, it doesn't automatically become your revenue. It stays in an account called deferred revenue, which is your liability till the trip happens. So till that client or customers goes on the trip, that should stay in the deferred revenue account, and then you would move it out of that once the service for which the customer has paid takes place. So that's what gap suggests. Then adjusting your prepaids and accruals, as we mentioned earlier, seeing to it that your prepaid accounts are, taken care of. You're taking out expenses monthly and charging them to your P&L. Or, reconciling payroll. I see this with a lot of my clients where, the books are all good, but the payroll liabilities are still showing, in the books because the payroll reports have not been reconciled. So whether you're using Gusto, whether you're using Paychecks, ADP, doesn't matter. You should pull the payroll reports at the end of the month, or your bookkeeper should pull them, and they should definitely look at all payroll liabilities. The number of payroll liabilities in your book should be zero at the end of the month if everything is reconciled properly. Then reviewing your assets, if there are assets like computers, office furniture, or anything else that you have that needs to be depreciated, or you can ask your CPA for what the depreciation percentages would be, and they would help you and let you know what method they are following and what you should show as depreciation in your books. And then the last step is preparing final adjusting entries to see to it that the books are closed. So in most cases, these entries would be passed by the CPA that's filing your taxes, or the EA that's going to file your taxes. Now, with all this information comes, the decision to whether, do your bookkeeping yourself, or, bring in a CPA or bring in a bookkeeper who can help you with the bookkeeping. It honestly, depends on many factors. It depends on how, organized you are, how small the business is, because, you don't realize, as an accountant, we personally, we also have accountants, because there's no way that, in the day-to-day grind of the business, we would be able to, keep in touch with updating all the transactions. And we all like to take a look at our numbers. So at the month end, I would like to see, how much did I spend in, ad spend on Google, or how much am I paying my employees, and I want to know, like, what is the ROI on all these activities that I am doing. So if you're meticulous enough, if the business is small enough, you can definitely keep uh, things like reconciling transactions, or organizing records, reviewing bank accounts, and things that are of administrative nature in house, and then rely on a good bookkeeper, a CPA, or an EA for doing accrual accounting, finding what journal entries or adjusting entries that need to be made, or helping out with the tax preparation. So it honestly, it's I really want businesses to think about, accounting, taxes, and saving money like they think about, marketing or advertising. So, you're bringing in more sales, but what are the holes that are, sucking in the money that you already have? So you need to know that. So rather than looking at this as an expense for taxation or accounting, I think, it's time that businesses try and look at it as a good investment and having a good team on hand to take their business further.
So, Radhika, I'm going to interject real quick because there
Sure.
was a question that came in. It was actually a comment from Alana. I'm going to reserve some of the other questions for later, but Alana says, thank you. But so far, these processes apply to the agency and not me. So, Alana, let's assume that you are an independent contractor and you're a hosted contractor and you have an LLC set up for your travel agency, even though you're an IC. These things still apply to you. Let's say you purchased Travel Joy and you paid for an annual membership for Travel Joy. You still should be recognizing that expense over the 12-month period. Let's assume that you are traveling to the ASTA conference in May, but you've paid for those expenses in January. Those expenses really should be recognized in the month in which you actually travel for that particular conference for education. So, also expected commissions. So, so you can have some sort of a cash flow report and you can project what your cash flow is going to be. You can put together simple projections on when you expect to receive some of that commission coming in into your books and then recognizing it when the deposit actually hits your account. So whether you're an independent contractor or you're an agency owner, these principles apply to you. The principles that may not apply to you would be if you're not an owner who is merchant of record and therefore you are reconciling against supplier payments. But everything else regarding your expenses, any payroll, any distributions you're paying yourself, all of that applies to you inside of this webinar. So I'm just kind of, I wanted to just point that out to you because I know that so many of us are small business owners. We operate from our homes and we're not always thinking about our business, I guess for lack of a better word, as a business, if that makes sense, and from a financial standpoint. But if you want to make smarter business decisions for yourself, there is a better way to start looking at your financials. And I will tell you, it wasn't until I actually hired a professional bookkeeper many years ago inside of my agency that I could start making better financial decisions for myself. And that's even when it was just my mother and I running the agency before we had ICs. So I just wanted to interject and hopefully, Alana, that helps you to understand a little bit. And I'll encourage you to just set up a free consult with Olaham. I did include in the chat, you guys, the link to get the download, which is the checklists that Radhika and Swagat prepared for you. And I know, I'm sorry, there is a sign up box again. I apologize for the friction there. But there's also the link to schedule a free consultation with them if you're interested. So they can address some of those things for you. But again, each webinar is going to build on the next, and this is really your foundation. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let Radhika and Swagat take over again.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through all the key gap principles. I think, we have beaten down on accrual basis and, matching your revenues and expenses. But I want to point out how uh, an accrual basis helps your business. So even if you're on a cash basis, I think this principle is very important for any business to remember. So the principle of conservatism. So what it basically teaches you is that you don't overstate anything. So whether it's your potential losses that you need to recognize, or any liabilities that you need to recognize in your books early, just stating how well you are doing is not going to help you. You need to pay close attention to what's going to come in the future. And I think this uh, is definitely useful for those businesses that are going to go for funding, or either have funding, have a bank loan. I think the banks or the institutions that are providing you money would definitely would be looking at how you present your financials to them. And then it also ensures consistency. When you have your following accrual basis, it kind of gives you you can compare the earlier month to this month, but as well as you can compare the earlier year with this year better, because on cash basis it's going to show you a very skewed picture. But when it's accrual basis, the AP, the AR, all when it comes in the books, it's kind of going to show you a very stable or a proper trend, if you will, to where the business is actually going. So these are some of the adjusting entries that I have included. I thought that this would be useful to anybody who's going to refer to this presentation later on. These are some of the adjusting entries that your CPAs will likely prepare. But if you're doing your books and you're doing them on accrual basis, I think it's a good thing to have in handy. So when let's say you get a customer deposit, you debit cash, and what you would credit is not revenue directly, but a deferred revenue, which is kind of your liability till you realize that revenue. And when that trip happens, or when you recognize the earned revenue, you can now debit the deferred revenue account, and you can credit the service revenue, so that it gets recorded from the balance sheet, and it moves from the balance sheet to your P&L. That's what's happening here in accrual. So you are not, in cash basis, whenever you receive cash, you record that, and it kind of shows in your profit. But in accrual basis, it has to move from a liability account, which you still have to recognize to your P&L as your service revenue. So I've given you some more examples here. The commission income, or the accrue, how to accrue a supplier expense, some of the entries that can come in handy. And these entries are what make your financial statement reflect the true economic reality of your business. So having X amount of cash in your bank is not a complete picture, or not a true reality of how well your business is doing. So this will definitely help you in knowing the true state of your business. And then the last stage is just four pillars to closing your books with confidence. Understanding the gap close, and why it matters to go through this entire process of accrual accounting. Then reconciling everything, do not leave anything out. Commission, supply payments, everything has to be taken a look at, or it needs a second eye to go through. Use the checklist that either us, your CPAs, your bookkeepers, a roadmap that they have given you. And then partner with somebody who's smart enough to understand, or smart enough to empower you to make good decisions, like Sheila mentioned earlier. I think it's very important. Just like when we were growing up, the friends that we keep are important to kind of make us who we are. It's very important in a business to have good companions, really talented people who know more than you, to help you excel in whatever you guys are doing. That's it. That's what we have in this first session. I'm pretty sure you guys would have a lot of questions on accrual accounting because we wanted, we could have kept it simple and cash basis, but we wanted to give something more. And I know that a lot of the people that I work with, they are very scared of accrual accounting, and I thought this would be a very good chance to kind of eh, tell everyone that it's not a big deal. It's not something that you guys need to be afraid of, and you don't need to know the whole accrual basis gap for everything that it holds. You just need to understand what pertains to your business, and that makes it very simple.
Thank you so much, Radhika. We have a few questions, and we only have a few minutes for questions. So, and a couple of statements. First of all, I wanted to say, Rachel, I did reshare the links. Apparently, the team did not link the download button in the email to the PDF. I put it in the chat. So, go ahead and grab it from the chat if you don't mind. So, that I will take care of that one. Um, so would you Emily says, would you consider the commission tracking in a CRM sufficient as opposed to duplicating the info in QuickBooks as well? So for instance, if they're using trams or they're using well, trams is really more of a full financial accounting type package, but if they're using Travel Joy, Turn, other CRMs, for instance, hosted advisors, a lot of them will put the trip amount and the commission in there to get paid from the host. And even if you're an independent agency, you may be tracking that way as well. Do you consider that to be sufficient? Is it dependent on the nature of the business and the advisor and the size of the agency? What are your thoughts about that?
So generally, CRM is for your internal purposes, to keep the record of what the commission, from where the commission is received, what is the sales and everything. But for accounting purposes, we recommend that you always have those recorded in your QuickBooks or any accounting software which you use. So having a monthly reconciliation between your CRM and the books is an important part to do as an accountant
Okay,
or as a
great.
business owner.
And then, if you leave bits and pieces in the CRM and then bits and pieces in your, as I mentioned, it will never give you a full picture of everything. So it's very important for you to bring these because as a travel agent, I think it's an important part of your, income, and having those details in your books would definitely help you in the long run.
Thank you. Okay. From Winona, what if you pay for a conference a year before? So I'm a hosted agent. I pay for conferences the year before to take advantage of the lower price. I think I addressed that earlier in how we do it, but I'll go ahead and let you guys respond once again. If I'm paying for a conference a year in advance, based on, using accrual-based accounting, when do you account for that? If you're cash-based, when do you account for that?
So generally, it always depends upon what system of accounts you follow. If it's a cash basis of accounting, it's simple. Whenever the money goes out, you account for it in that year. And for accrual based system, the activity should be crystallized. So even if you book it before 1 year and you travel it in the next year, then the activity of actually using that is in the next year. So you should always be having that in the next year, in the or in the month when you travel. So
So
let me explain
basically,
you yeah, Radhika, go ahead.
go ahead, Swagat.
So let me explain you. Many of the people are now confused between the cash and accrual based system. Most of the business owners. So according to IRS, let me tell you, according to IRS, there are two. So accounting and tax filing both can be done on a cash and accrual basis. So the IRS says who should follow an accrual based of tax filing is if your business has a average turnover of 29 millions and more for last 3 years. So if your average gross turnover for last 3 years is 29 millions and more, then you should mandatorily follow an accrual based system. If not, then you can follow the cash basis system in QuickBooks. But generally, what happens, we recommend to follow the accrual based system because it is a complete accounting system where you can take decisions as a business owner, and you can file your cash basis system whenever you want through the any software. So any accounting software you use, generally whenever you account or do for in accrual system, it just on a click of button you can shift it to the cash system. So you can
Yeah, a
use
lot of
those
people, I
cash
think
books, yeah,
a
for
lot
tax
of
filing.
clients
And
have this problem that their eyes are used to looking at cash basis, so they never want to move to accrual basis. But it's very easy in QuickBooks. If you're used to looking at your cash basis, you can still do that. So, as per GAAP, there is no rule to follow accrual basis. There's no, set rules that, only if, you're in an industry like banking, insurance, then you have to follow accrual. There are certain industries that need to follow US GAAP. But apart from that, as Swagat mentioned, from a tax point of view, if 29 million and up, you follow accrual. But from an accounting point of view, you can still be on cash basis or accrual basis. It depends on what the business owner is looking at and how much benefit you want to get from the accounting that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to let's see. I think it was who was it? Tony asked, just clarifying the difference between cash and accrual focus. That question was asked earlier. I think we've addressed that. So cash is money in, money out that month. Accrual is an example would be an annual subscription you paid for in May. It's then just amortized, I guess, or distributed over a 12-month period. So from May to May. So that would be an
yeah,
example of an accrual type expense recording.
Yes,
yes.
so accrual is more time based as to, when the activity takes place rather than when the cash goes out.
Okay. So some of these, you guys, I'm going to ask you to set up a free consult with the team and they can answer a few of these questions and I will send the questions to them as well. I did include the free consult link in the webinar chat as well as the PDF. Some of you have said that you cannot see it, but I know some of you have received it. So just no worries. Everybody who is signed up for the webinar, I will send out a quick email with the attachment to everybody today. So you will have that for over the weekend if you're feeling super ambitious and you want to start, getting some of your books in order. Um, let's just, I'm going to have a couple more questions. Should I wait until I close out my books for 2025 before I switch to accrual basis?
Yes. I
Okay.
would suggest to wait and not do it, right at before the end of the year, because whoever is moving your books from cash to accrual would have to start right at the beginning of the year, and it's going to take time. Somebody also, I think it was Michelle, who asked what are the steps of taking books from cash to accrual. So it depends on every business. Those steps would be decided on, what different things you're doing in your business. So there would be a cutoff date that would be decided. For example, 31st December 2025, that would be a cutoff date. Till that date, you would record the transactions in a certain way, and then your accountant would lay down a plan for you as per the transactions that you're recording, how you start recording from 1st of Jan. So it's not a very easy process to move from cash books to accrual, because you have to take into account the old balances as well that are in the books. So I would definitely suggest anybody who's moving from cash to accrual to have, professional help in doing so.
Thank you so
It,
much.
it,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Swagat.
Yeah, moving from cash to accrual, if you decide that you need to take the permission of the IRS, you need to file a form named 3115, where you need to inform IRS and take a permission. For small businesses, generally it is automatic, but still you need to inform the IRS before. And there is an adjustment entry of 481A, subsection A, which needs to be followed so that you don't double the income or double the expenses when you transition to that phase. So that generally consult an expert before doing that.
So that is
So
that is from a tax point of view. These steps you would need to take if you're moving from cash basis to accrual basis while filing your taxes.
I'm just going to go over a few things here real quick. Denise, I would recommend that you reach out to the team at Olaham regarding your tour conductor credits and whether or not that is treated as income for the tour conductor credits and or complimentary cruises that you receive. So please reach out and discuss that with them in detail. Michelle, again, the service revenue being used and compared to commission, I think it would be a great idea. Just as an FYI to everybody on the call, you can set up a free consult, but one of the things that some of our members do is they'll have just a one-time audit of their books. So you can pay for a basic or an extensive audit if you feel like you can manage all of this on your own and you just want someone to help you set the framework. Also, you can pay for ongoing bookkeeping services. I always find that my time is better spent elsewhere because I am not a bookkeeper and I am not a tax expert. So, as a matter of fact, I am so hands off. I'm like, just whatever you guys think it should be, that's what it should be. And so, I just let their team handle everything. And they also offer tax prep in all 50 states and Canada if we have any Canadians on the call. And I know we have had a request to do a Canadian focused bookkeeping series for them as well. So we will be addressing that after we finish this 4-part series. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody for being here today. Again, this is being recorded. We will send out the recording. It'll be early next week. I will make sure that the email goes out with the webinar handout as well as the link to the free consult. And I know it's very late for you guys where you are, so thank you so much for staying here with us. We look forward to everybody joining us for the next session. And I think that one is, do you guys have that off the top of your head? I think it's like the let's see, the 19th, December 19th. So hopefully we get to see everybody on that call as well. And with that, have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Thank you,
everyone.
Sheila.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.